things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out, and I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. We're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. Hope everybody's doing all right tonight. Wow, was it an insane day of news. When I got up, and I can't remember, it was sometime between 6 and 6:30 when I actually sat down and paid attention. There was already 31 headlines to sift through, and I was like, wow, is it gonna be a busy day? And they just kept coming. They just kept coming. Some incredible information has came out today. Man, I just thought of a headline that I hope I did not miss because it was a big deal. Hang on, I'm just clicking through real quick. No. I don't think I do have it open. I will, yikes, because that's a big one. Well, I'll tell you about it, and then I'll point it out again when I read through the headlines. And it's just insanity. You've probably heard about it. If not, I'm talking about Washington, D.C., and the mandates that begin on Saturday. I'll go ahead and mention it now. Oh, updates, there really are none, other than I did fire the heater up today and test out the exhaust tubing, hose, whatever you want to call it. And I'll tell you what, that sucker got warm, and it did stink, and I don't know if I got all the stink out of it. I don't know if I ran it long enough to do so, but man, I'll tell you what, you don't want to touch it. It gets hot, and so hopefully it will do well. I'm going to do more testing on it. I didn't run it super long, maybe about 5-6 minutes, but I'll probably do it again. I actually just cracked the door and stuck the exhaust out the door. So I might take it out, the entire unit outside tomorrow, and just fire it up and let it run while I'm doing some other stuff I need to get done. Since it's not going to be like negative 30 or nothing, it's supposed to be around 50 tomorrow. So beautiful day today as well. Wow. Trying to think. That's really about as far as I can speak on updates. Back to Washington, D.C. I believe it's Saturday that it starts. And you have to have, there were 3 things to go outside, to go outdoors, to leave your home. You had to have your COVID vaccine certificate, a mask, and honestly, the third thing is just not coming to mind. When I get to that headline, I'll try to remember it, because the headline doesn't really particularly say that in the headline. You know, it doesn't particularly talk about Washington, D.C. or nothing, so I'll have to try to catch it. But crazy. I mean, that is you know, I really didn't think we were going to see that here in the U.S., to be real honest with you. I did not think we were going to see a mandate like that, a lockdown like that. I do have one other update before I forget. Let me get this out of the way. I want to thank Cajun. She sent us an incredible cake. I mean, this thing is just insane. There's a picture of it. Man, is that thing good. It's got Bavarian cream and strawberries and cream in it. And oh my goodness, that is some good stuff. So thank you very much, Cajun. Let's see. So I do have several headlines up. Russia seems to be a big topic today. Things are not going well as far as that's concerned. Things look pretty rough, to tell you the truth. So I've got several headlines dealing with that. Then other headlines just kind of talking about all the different crazy stuff. There's a lot of headlines I have up here about COVID and things related to COVID. On that front, it's good to hear that a friend of ours that I had mentioned that is in the hospital right now with COVID, and speaking with her today, she said she's feeling better, and she hopes that next week sometime she'll be able to get out. So please continue prayers for her if you're so inclined. And she let me know that her daughter and grandson now have COVID as well. So I would appreciate for those so inclined to say a few words for them as well. So yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything I've got on my end. Like I say, I do have quite a few tabs up here, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in on that, and we'll talk about it. Like I say, the news today is just stupid. Start out with international tensions involving Russia. Let me bring back over the web view here. The first headline here, U.S. demands explanation as Russia begins new exercises near Ukraine. Here it says, if Russia wants to make a deal on security guarantees, it should halt military exercises near the Ukrainian border or provide clarification and be transparent about troop movements, the U.S. State Department has insisted. Spokesman Ned Price's comments made on Tuesday came just hours after Russia announced new drills with the Voronezh, Belgorod, Bryansk, and Smolnsk regions, all of which are located on Russia's western border, and probably all of which I mispronounced. He said de-escalation in this context would call for Russian troops to return to their barracks for these exercises to either be explained or to come to a halt for this heavy weaponry to return to its regular storage locations, Price told reporters. So, that I think is certainly, and I'm not going to, it shouldn't, I don't think it necessarily should be an escalation. However, obviously the United States is at least accusing it of being so. Countries do military exercises. We do them all the time. Russia's not crying about all the military exercises we're doing in their neck of the woods. So, just saying. Russia and NATO fail to find common ground, says Moscow. So, as you already know, the U.S. and Moscow had spoke, and that really didn't get anywhere. And then now Russia and NATO have spoke. That really didn't get anywhere. And I seem to think that there's another meeting with someone tomorrow. And I can't remember off the top of my head on that. But I think there's another meeting yet tomorrow. But then, to my knowledge, that's the end of the meetings for now involving, this round of meetings, if you will. So, this here says the U.S.-led NATO military bloc has reverted to full Cold War strategy of containment towards Russia and seeks full spectrum dominance, Moscow's Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko told reporters on Wednesday. The diplomat added that Moscow believes NATO's behavior is creating an unacceptable threat to Russia that it will have to counter. Grushko also alleged, I'm having problems tripping over his name, that the bloc is responsible for ending any and all cooperation with Russia on key common security issues such as the fight against terrorism, drug trafficking, and piracy. He called out the U.S. over collapse of the arms control agreements, bringing up Washington's exit from the INF and Open Skies treaties, and dragging its feet on extending New START. So, let me go ahead and continue here. Russia has proposed de-escalation measures, but NATO has so far ignored them, the diplomat added. The bloc appears to recognize security as something that only applies to its members in direct violation of numerous international treaties. Russia finds this unacceptable, Grushko said, adding that if NATO persists with the policy of containment, deterrence, and intimidation, Moscow will respond in kind. So, nothing was accomplished at all at these meetings. And then, of course, the United States is looking to continue to play games. It's only a matter of time. It is only a matter of time. It is very clear that the United States and NATO have no interest really in actually working anything out. That's what I see. That's what I'm seeing. Multiple times been stated by both the United States and by NATO that, we didn't promise to not extend or, expand our areas. And so that's the big thing. That's the number one big thing that Russia is concerned about, is the expansion of NATO. And they will in no way even consider working out a deal with that. So like I say, it's a matter of time. This here says a group of American Democratic Party senators has put together a new slate of potential economic sanctions against Russia. Wow, I can't speak at all now. Even as legislators are set to vote on a separate bill concerning the controversial Nord Stream 2 pipeline. The proposed legislation was drafted by a group led by Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Robert Menendez, the Washington Post reported on Wednesday, and would impose broad sanctions on top Russian officials, including President Vladimir Putin, in the event of an invasion of Ukraine. It would also target companies in Russia that offer messaging systems such as SWIFT, which banks use to securely exchange information. The bill makes it absolutely clear that the U.S. Senate will not stand idly by as the Kremlin threatens a reinvasion of Ukraine, Menendez said to the Post. Putin need not collapse his entire economy, nor does he need to sacrifice the lives of his own people in a futile attempt to rewrite the map of Europe, the senator went on. So again, this is not anything that hasn't been said before, but they're actually putting it in writing and, making it to where it's kind of an automatic deal. Does this really mean anything? I don't throw a lot on it, and the reason why is because if Russia has intentions of invading Ukraine, they're not worried about SWIFT, they're not worried about international trade, they're not worried about any of that other stuff. They're just not. Because they're prepared, and that I'm sure they already know that all of those things are going to come to light. That's why they're working on totally different types of systems with China. So just a matter of time. And Russia and China could do very well at supporting one another. They could do very, very well at supporting one another. So you kind of have to consider that. And then right here, you can't get any more out in front than this. U.S. must prepare for war with Russia, ex-Pentagon official claims. And this here says U.S. must be ready itself for a war with Russia. A former Defense Department official has warned, saying that Washington could be obliged to step in militarily if Moscow decides to mount an invasion of Ukraine in the near future. Evelyn Farkas, who served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Russia, Ukraine, and Eurasia from 2012 to 2015, published an op-ed in Defense One on Tuesday in which she claimed that an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine is more likely than not. The former Obama administration official insisted that diplomatic diplomatic talks between Moscow and Washington taking place this week are likely to fail, and that the U.S. should already be getting ready for war with Russia. In an echo of the words former President George W. Bush used to describe the nations invading Iraq in 2003, she called for the U.S. to marshal an international coalition of the willing to deter Russian President Vladimir Putin and, if necessary, prepare for war. So, again, how many times can they say the same thing over and over and over? That's where we're at. And, at any time, things could turn south fast. Now, is Russia looking to invade Ukraine? I don't know. I'm not Putin. I have no idea. Is there a possibility of it? Yeah, absolutely. I think what would egg it on is if Russia seen NATO military equipment moving into Ukraine, or even a larger buildup in the area would maybe be enough to get them to say, okay, we need to take this to a preemptive level. That's kind of what I see. Now, that's the way I really see something kicking off. NATO moving in military equipment into Ukraine, and the Russians deciding that they better deal with this preemptively. I do see that scenario as being the most likely out of all of them. So, something to keep an eye on. Keep your eyes and ears open for any news about NATO doing so. Because I think that's going to be a biggie. All right, let me have a sip of coffee here. We are off the Russia stories. Thought this was an interesting headline to come out today. Politicians, judges, and TV reporters seen as least ethical, says a poll. Wow. A new poll has found Americans have an unfavorable opinion of the ethics and honesty of people who mainly work in the media and politics. Gallup's Wednesday survey noted that 5 of the 22 professions examined find themselves at new lows in public esteem, showing significant dips in favorability from past annual polls. Television reporters, for instance, have seen their ethics rating, meaning how many view them as highly ethical and honest, drop from 23% to 14% according to Gallup data. Well, hell, it didn't start out that well, did it? Judges have also seen a hit in the public's perception of their ethics, dropping 5 points to 38%. That's not surprising either. Americans are the most skeptical of the ethics of elected officials, particularly at the federal level, as well as the media, the report notes. Nah. Reporters, House and Senate members, and members of the media scored the lowest in the polling. Among these groups, newspaper reporters received the highest marks, with 39% viewing them as honest and ethical. That may be low, but it's much higher than the view of members of Congress, 9%, and lobbyists, 5%, also scoring below 10 points. Along with members of Congress and the media are car salespeople, with only 8% viewing the profession as trustworthy. Huh. So, are you telling me that the American public only trusts Congress 1% more than a car salesman? And I'm not trying to knock car salesmen. I'm just saying. That's some rich stuff right there. Wow. Insane. It says politics played some role in how respondents perceived a handful of the professions, including the media. Only 6% of Republicans said TV reporters had high ethics, while that support jumps to 24% among Democrats. Gullible. The biggest perception difference based on political affiliation comes down to police officers, with 71% of Republicans or right-leaning respondents viewing the profession as highly honest and ethical, and only 36% of Democrats or left-leaning respondents agreeing. Yeah. About that. It is what it is. So I got a couple of headlines here that are a little bit, I don't know. I guess maybe this happened yesterday. I'm not 100% positive, but apparently Fauci had called Senator Roger Marshall a moron on a hot mic. Now my question is, when the hell does it end? When do we stop letting Weaselman speak? When do we lock up Weaselman? Because that's really all I'm interested in. I think it's far time that he's locked up. I mean, come on. What more do they need? You know, It's absolutely mind-blowing that they can have the level of evidence that they do against this guy. And nothing. Nothing. It's mind-blowing. It's scary. But before we run and say, oh, well, that's okay because my man's going to run in 2024, not so fast. Trump says politicians who won't confirm booster shots are gutless. Trump himself is really pushing for this. And I know he recently did an interview in which he claimed that he didn't agree with the mandates. Please do not listen to anything any politician or anybody that running for public office has to say. Go by their fruits, not their words. Please. Because it's either we realize that he's the one that kicked this all off to begin with Operation Warp Speed. And then while we're looking down nefarious paths, why don't we bring up the red flag laws? I mean, I'm not 100% against the guy, but we really need to be honest with ourselves. We need to think logically and not emotionally. Because, man, I don't think that's a good option either. And from watching headlines, and in fact it's going to be in the headlines, it looks like there could be another showdown between Trump and Hillary. And if you were to ask me, then what? I'd have to say Trump. If that was the choice between Trump and Hillary, it's a no-brainer. What horrifies me is the thought that that's what the choice is going to be. Folks, we're on a bad trajectory. And this guy didn't really put us on a better one other than economically. Economically, yeah, he was righting the ship. Economically, I will not argue that for a second. But policy-wise, as far as any other way, nah. You know, I liked what he was doing with the economy. I did like how he was dealing with international relations. For the most part, I think he did a very good job. Because, look, the United States, for, multiple administrations consecutively, had become weak. And, the proper amount of funding wasn't put into not just military equipment alone, but research and development of military equipment, production of military equipment, and an armload of other things involving the military had been neglected for, again, multiple administrations consecutively. He started our military back on a good path. And, started to put some more money into it, which, we don't have the money to put into anything. But, we do have to have a good, strong, reliable military, or else, we can't really put a whole hell of a lot of hope in much at all. I'm sure that if we allowed ourselves to get weak enough, there's enough countries out there that one or more of them would like to have a chunk of the U.S. I mean, come on, that's common sense. So, I don't know. Just be careful when you vote. I would say vote in the primaries, and I honestly, I wouldn't vote for this guy. I would try to get somebody else up to bat for the nomination. Maybe DeSantis will run. I don't like any politician, that, but I don't know. I don't like any of them. This I thought was crazy. A family of cancer-stricken child runs afoul of vaccine mandate. This is mind-blowing. Father of a boy with leukemia says the family is facing eviction from a facility run by the Ronald McDonald House Charities in Vancouver, British Columbia, over new rules requiring COVID-19 vaccination by the end of January. Calls to boycott McDonald's made the rounds on social media on Wednesday after Austin Ferguson posted a video on Facebook confronting the manager of the facility over the letter laying out the jab mandate. How absolutely wicked and vile, Ferguson said. They are evicting my son with leukemia and any other children or adults who are suffering with sick children into the snow. The COVID cult is far more dangerous than COVID. If they will evict families with cancer, what won't they do? Ferguson added. So this is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. Again, when's it end? I mean, I know the answer to that. It's going to end when we end it, and not a moment before. I hope people are ready for that, because like I said earlier, I didn't expect that Washington D.C. was going to put mandates on that level in place. I didn't think that. But here we are. So, and this is a no-brainer here. Pandemic reversing improvements in wealth inequality, World Bank says. And I even quoted this when I posted on my personal Facebook earlier. Government's responses to COVID-19 are reversing gains made in combating global inequality, according to a World Bank report. It found the virus was disproportionately affecting the poor and warned the fallout would worsen. World Bank President David Malpass explained that the situation arose from a confluence of negative factors leading to a perfect storm of economic depression. Let's see. The world economy is simultaneously facing COVID-19, inflation, and policy uncertainty, with government spending and monetary policies in uncharted territory, he said. Government mandated, and this is the part that I quoted, government mandated shutdowns were the primary reason for a spike in poverty rates that has affected populations around the world, the report stated. Government spending deficits and debt had soared to record highs compared to GDP, and countries are reluctant to raise interest rates lest their populations prove to be unable to withstand the economic shock. Noting that booming asset prices are bolstering the bank accounts of the rich, even as job losses and massive inflation have torpedoed any growth within the poorest population groups, the bank warned that such an increasing divergence of fortunes was especially troubling given the possibility of social discontent in developing countries. Spikes in some commodity prices, such as the fuel hike in Kazakhstan, can trigger popular outrage on such a level that it threatens government's control. Worse, the effects of COVID-19 shutdowns are likely to echo through multiple generations as children's educational development has suffered due to school closures, especially those in low-income families who particularly struggled to access remote learning, the bank's report warns. So this is not a good situation, and I normally I'm very questioning of what anybody from, the World Bank especially has to say. But I think this is one time we can take them for their word. Absolutely. And to know that the World Bank is saying this is concerning. But hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I suspect that this is the lead up in the Hegelian dialectic for the Great Reset. I think just maybe they're going to try to come out and be the hero, look like the good guy in all of this, and be like, hey, look, we know all you countries are struggling. You've got all this national debt. How about we do this, this, and this, and this, and we'll wipe all the debt, and we'll just start over. But that's going to include things like, you know, basically a one world government, one world currency, and you can take it from there. The Great Reset. It's crazy. Let's see. Alright, and yeah, the rest of these are going to, well, maybe not all of them. Several of them are going to be on COVID. Actually, they all have something at least to do with COVID. COVID past protesters attempt to breach parliament. Bulgarian police have foiled an attempt by demonstrators protesting the enduring anti-coronavirus restrictions to breach the national parliament. The scuffles left 4 officers injured and several protesters detained. Hundreds of people gathered outside the Bulgarian parliament building in the capital, Sofia, on Wednesday. The protest staged by the nationalist, and I can't even say that, Revival Party decried the standing anti-coronavirus restrictions, including the Green Pass system put in place by the country's authorities. Respect my authority. Anyway, it says protesters were seen carrying Bulgarian flags and placards reading, "I want a normal life, hands off our children," and so on. The crowd chanted "Freedom, freedom," as well as other slogans. So, yeah, kind of craziness there. I don't know if that's a U.S. flag that I see flying right there. I don't know. Don't be looking at us for a beacon right now. So, our beacon's getting a little dim. So, check back in a little while. North Korea's way of fighting fertilizer shortage raises eyebrows. And I know this isn't, the fertilizer shortage is, well, they claim due to COVID crap, but no pun intended. But anyway, this says right here, North Korea has been encouraging citizens to use their own excrement to make manure as the agriculture sector struggles with a shortage of fertilizer for crops, the media reports claim. According to a daily NK report, the entire country is being mobilized for manure production. The report, citing a source in North Hamgyong province, claimed residents had started producing fertilizer from human waste to fill the quotas of manure production introduced by Pyongyang last week. The quotas range from 150 kilograms of manure per household to 500 kilograms for a state factory worker. Authorities even cut food market hours in January, which now work 3 to 5 in the afternoon instead of 2 to 5, so that people have an extra hour to produce manure. So they're doing the North Korean patriotic thing to do, and well, they're just giving a crap. So, I don't know. So I'm waiting now for the United States to say, you know what? We're going to make a law that everybody's going to have to replace their commodes with a bucket. And one day a week they'll come by and pick it up. Man, that's insane. That is insane. Wow. You do know there's a shortage in urea, which is used to make, fertilizers and stuff. So I don't know. It's crazy. It is crazy. And now you see, and this isn't the first time that I've heard this or even covered it. Cannabis could prevent COVID, study claims. That's good to know. It just says the next breakthrough in stopping COVID-19 may not come from Big Pharma, but from the humble pot plant. Researchers in Oregon and the U.S. discovered that 2 compounds found in the devil's lettuce can stop the virus in its tracks. So, just so you know, light up that spliffy and feel a little more comfortable and safe. Police probed over misuse of COVID app. Now, I know you're saying that would never happen. They would never do that. Well, this was in Germany. However, you give the U.S. the chance, and they'll damn well do it. It says here, a German regional data protection officer says police are damaging public trust in the government amid the pandemic. The officers were criticized for using a COVID app to track people. Dieter Kugelmann, the chief data protection officer in Germany's Western Rhineland-Palatinate region, or something similar, launched an investigation into a worrying case of police collecting personal information of pub visitors through contact tracing app Luca. Or Lucia, I don't know. Says the procedure shakes citizens' confidence in the legality of government actions and sends a completely wrong signal, especially in times of a pandemic that is challenging society as a whole, Kugelman said on Tuesday. I'm pretty sure that a large majority of us would be concerned about tracking with apps like this. So, just say no, yo. And this is the last headline I have to cover. I'm going to have a sip of coffee and a couple of vapes. Wow. Gonna make a little late dinner after the show, so I'm gonna really gotta put it all out and make a fine delicacy of hamburger and shells and cheese. Oh, sounds good. Let's see. Have a couple of vapes here. Blue pop. All right. Says here, and I'm sure you probably heard this headline once or 10 times today. U.S. prices make biggest jump in decades. Consumer prices in the U.S. made the biggest year-to-year jump since 1982, the latest sign that rising inflation is negatively impacting working Americans. December's price increase followed a 6.8% average rise in the month before, according to a Labor Department data release on Wednesday. White House officials have claimed in recent months that increasing spending by Americans has led to the rising cost of grocery items and gas. They have also blamed consumer spending for clogged ports and supply chain issues, which have also been driving costs in multiple industries. Commodities, shelter, new and used vehicles saw the biggest price jumps, according to the latest data. I'm still asking the question, where are people getting all the money? Where are the numbers? Show me the numbers of all these massive record spending. Or, I don't see, it's not there. It does not exist. Look at the numbers. They are saying right here that it's our increased spending. Now, the only thing that we've increased spending on is the average items that we always buy because the damn prices are going through the roof. That's the only place the increased spending is coming from. And considering all of that, then how is this about clogged ports? Folks, they're not being 100% straight with us on this. And I know a lot of people's talked about where the clogs are, where the problem is, shortage of truck drivers, shortage of dock workers, this, that, and the other thing. But let's be honest, we don't really know. We don't. They could just be choking it out. And I think that there's a good possibility that they are choking it out. I mean, you well know that, Bear Shells Biden has been trending. We talked about that yesterday. It kind of makes you wonder, or makes me wonder anyway, if this isn't a problem that's being created to bring us to our knees. Right? Because it would take a little bit. Honestly, it would. If they just completely shut down the ports at one time, it would take a little bit for us to go through everything. Everything in the warehouses, everything at the docks, all of that. It would take a little while. Now, I'm talking about on the average everyday warehoused goods. I'm not talking about, the whatever that you ordered from China that's coming on the slow boat. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the average everyday items like food and consumables. Because there's a lot of stock. Typically, there's a lot of stock of that in this country. And so, in order for shelves to be this bare, that would take a little while. And we're there. So let's think about that. This has been a slow drain down on the supplies for the larger amount, the larger quantity of consumables. I have to ask the question, are they trying to put us in a position to where they say, okay, now, comply or don't eat? Again, I'll reiterate. I didn't see what's starting Saturday in Washington, D.C. coming in the United States of America. I did not see that they were actually going to be bold enough to say, okay, well, you can't go outside without your pass. But ladies and gentlemen, we're here. We better start thinking about that. We better start thinking about that. I really don't, I don't know. I don't even want to guess what's next when it comes along that route. I just know we better be ready. Better have food and supplies to make it for a length of time. Let's see. I mean, we normally do one big shopping trip a month, right? And we normally do it at the beginning of the month because that just makes sense, right? Well, we're here almost mid-month. And we haven't been shopping, and that's largely because our friend's in the hospital. And we've got food in there, It's not like we don't have food in there. Now we're out of bread and cheese, so yeah, we need to get on something. But, I told Jen earlier, with all the craziness going on, I don't know. I might even wait until our friend gets out and can take her, because I know that if she takes Jen, I know Jen isn't going to catch COVID from her. I don't want it. If I would get a serious case of COVID, I don't know if I could make it with my breathing troubles. I really don't know if I could make it if I got a serious case. And so, yeah, we have been avoiding it with the only 100% known way to avoid it, and that's avoiding other people. And that's what we've done. Well, it's kind of pretty much we kind of live apart anyway. But, for the past 2 years, we've really kind of kept down on our public interaction, if you will. Because, again, I'm telling you, I'm not just trying to be a wine bag or anything like that. I've got serious problems when it comes to breathing. So I don't even want to take the chance. And that being considered, I feel much safer now with our friend. And the largest reason is it was a ticking time bomb. She's a school bus driver. So at some point or another, it was going to get her, and I knew that. So I'm glad to know that she's doing okay, and seems to be on the uphill, or I should say uptick. And when I talked to her today, she said she never really had that much difficulty of breathing or anything like that. She hasn't lost taste or smell. Now her daughter has. But she hasn't lost taste or smell, and said she hadn't had any real difficulty breathing or anything like that. So that's good. That's really, really good. So anyway, like I asked earlier, for those so inclined, please say a word or two for her and her daughter and grandson that have it now as well. So I would appreciate it, and I'm sure they would as well. So anyway, I've got some headlines in front of me. How about I run through them and get the hell out of here for the night? After a couple of babes. I'm telling you, man, cherry blow pop. It's like, how can you resist that? Okay. EU to hold large-scale cyber attack drill, says the media. Expiration date on nearly 1 million old COVID tests extended. Oh, I'll add that into the mix, too. Our friend did take a home test. I don't know if it was the day before she went in the hospital or 2 days before. I don't know. I don't know exactly what day she went in. But her home test came back negative. And she had told me that. And I'll admit, I wasn't quite buying it. I thought that she probably had it. And even though the symptoms weren't like loss of taste or smell or anything like that, like I said, it was a matter of time. And so, but I want to reiterate, and I've been seeing this other places as well. It would seem that these home tests are not very accurate in detecting Omicron. So I just want to put that out there. Don't, if you're sick and you take a home test and it says no, if you continue to feel sick or get worse, please seek testing elsewhere. If you need medical attention, go get medical attention, please. You never know, right? And there's no need in taking a chance, So I'm all about using our heads with this stuff. Have been since day one, ever since we first started reporting on it over 2 years. Well, 2 years ago, when we first started reporting on it, I was saying the same things. It's mind-blowing to see that even what they're saying now about masks is what we were saying 2 years ago. We were saying 2 years ago about the cloth masks, and we were recommending, I was telling you that if you were concerned about catching this, use nothing less than an N95 mask, and even that's not a guarantee. But it's a lot better than nothing. And the cloth mask, when it comes to catching it, is useless. We were saying that 2 years ago. And, surprised we didn't get in trouble for saying it 2 years ago. But now, well, looky here. We'll bring out some facts once in a while. Let's see. Passenger breaks into cockpit and tries to jump out of the plane. Yeah, that'll probably leave a mark on both the person and the ground. Russia responds to Kazakhstan aggressor claims. BBC prioritizes diversity over merit. Veteran host who left channel tells RT. I don't know where the hell I get the L from. Steep rise in U.S. police deaths explained. And now they're going to tell you, I'm not going to read the article. They've got their opinion. I've got my opinion. They're saying COVID-19. I think it would be other things related to COVID-19. So I can't tell you what, but you can probably figure it out. Ukraine ready for Donbass peace deal, says Zelensky. Covered that. More U.S. firms cut paid COVID-19 sick leave. As dust settles in Kazakhstan, locals left wondering why violence broke out. And that is very interesting. This article is very interesting. Makes you wonder if there might have been another country in there provoking things. France to prohibit incest. Well, how mighty nice of them. That is mind-blowing that it's 2021 and they just now think to say, Tommy, maybe you shouldn't be doing that to your sister. I mean, really, that is insane. Afghan public sector workers get paid in wheat. Talk about barter. Natural disasters cost country $145 billion. Catholic Church outraged after coffin covered with Nazi flag. UK government's PPE procurement ruled unlawful. China builds artificial moon. I guess this is to go with their artificial sun. I wonder if they're going to have an artificial Pluto. That would be cool. Smash and grab squads. How U.S. looting rings organize online as police are defunded. UK PM takes responsibility for attending Downing Street lockdown party. Biden labels January 6th riot an attempted coup. Yeah, well, we got a few labels for Biden. Ex-CNN producer accused of despicable acts against a minor. Let's see. Even flat earthers should get airtime, the BBC says. No, they shouldn't. Hey, you have a right to say what you want. You do not have a right to have a platform to say what you want. I mean, you have a right to say it, but you don't have a right for a platform. You just don't. January 6th committee dismisses Fedman claim amid DOJ silence. Yeah, this was kind of crazy. That lady would answer not a single question about, specifically Ray Epps. U.S. Chamber of Commerce says what can help tackle inflation. NATO boss reveals result of crunch meetings with Russia. Arctic undersea cable mysteriously fails. Weed adds billions to states' budgets, says a study. No joke. Kim Jong-un wants more strategic military muscle. Trucker reimbursed by Robinhood for stock trading losses. Epstein accuser's sex abuse lawsuit against Prince Andrew can proceed, a judge rules. That's going to get interesting. Covered that. EU country threatens to block Telegram. Trump cuts interview short and hangs up on journalist. Covered that. MP bombarded with seaweed in COVID protest. Now this is a different. I covered another article yesterday that claimed the same thing. I don't think it was the same incident, by the way. I'm not sure. I can't say for sure whether it was or not. U.S. urged to close secret prisons worldwide. Musk hits out at California over bizarre anti-environment move. COVID pass protesters attempt to breach parliament. U.S. I covered that one. Let's see, covered that one. Ransomware attack cripples jail. That happened in New Mexico, Albuquerque. Researchers warn of possible superbug onslaught. I know, you're so surprised. White Americans could flee to Siberia, says Ziranovsky. I probably said his name wrong, but no thank you. Let's see, covered that one. Hundreds of thousands left without electricity amid record-breaking heat wave. And this is obviously in Argentina. Not here. We did, like I say, a pretty nice day today. So considering it January 12th. Bitcoin's role in digital asset revolution is predicted. Georgia makes it illegal to deface flags of EU and NATO. This is the country of Georgia, not the state. U.S. actively working to delay certification of Nord Stream 2, says Newland. U.S. senators unveil possible personal sanctions against Putin. I think I covered that one. I don't know. Let's see. Pandemic I did cover that one. Illegal aliens vanish after being released in the U.S. And I know you're shocked again. Killer Zionist dolphins claim gets attention in Israel. Let's see, covered that. Mainstream media discuss if Hillary Clinton should run in 2024. Watch out. I bet you if Trump runs, she runs. Royal family refuses to discuss Prince Andrew's sex abuse lawsuit. Yeah, that's a shocker. France wants U.S. included in Ukraine peace talks. America should stop lecturing Russia and repair its roads instead, says Moscow. Yeah, I could agree with that. How about getting the lead out of the pipes, too? That would be nice. Mask and snack break at U.S. schools sparks outrage. CDC-backed study shows differences between Delta and Omicron. Kazakhstan demands elites pay into public purse. Fauci agency blasted for trans monkey study. Somebody needs to be. 1 year in, Biden's polling is worse than Trump. No kidding. Biden's polling is probably the worst. I doubt there's any president that could possibly have lower numbers. Let's see, covered that. Struggling to get recruits, U.S. Army raises enlistment bonus. Covered that one. Another Republican lawmaker compares COVID passes to Nazi Germany. Oh, I bet you this is the one I was looking for. Yeah, it is. It is. Photo ID. They actually got it here. So remember that starting Saturday, this is Mayor Muriel Bowser. This is Washington, D.C. It says, remember that starting Saturday, you will need these 3 things before heading out. Number 1, proof of vaccination, I guess for those 12 years or older, proof of vaccination, and photo ID for those 18 years and older, and a mask. So Washington, D.C., that starts Saturday. I really, honestly didn't know, didn't think that we were going to reach this level. But here we are. Keep your eye on this, because this could spread faster than Omicron. New York City mayor seeks to appoint his brother to a key post. I know, another shocker, right? State lowers the bar on teaching hires amid COVID-related shortage. I know, jaw hit the floor again. Yeah, well, they have to, because they can no longer answer to when asked how many genders there are. So, you know. Nigeria unbans Twitter after months-long shutdown. Oops. U.S. sanctions Russian firm over North Korea missiles. First European country offers fourth COVID vaccine dose. And a man climbs BBC to attack a statue by a controversial artist. Well, that taught something. I don't know. I guess at least it kept you busy for a little bit. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Do you really need any more? I didn't think so. It's crazy. It's going to continue to get crazy. I'm telling you. It's just going to keep snowballing. Keep your eye. I know we covered a lot of ground tonight in kind of a short amount of time. And do your best to keep an eye on this stuff. Because, I know I kind of tried to inject humor here and there tonight. But we better be watching this stuff closely. So, and the answer, like I've said over and over and over, the answer is still the same for you and I. Get ready. Keep working on getting prepared. Keep putting back food and supplies. Keep learning. That's key. Learn as much as you can. That's key. And right now, as long as you got some time and an internet connection, you can do all the learning you want. So anyway, I am going to leave on that note. I hope you all have a good night. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you then. As always, God bless you, we love you, and be one with your spirit. Shalom.